Hi guys, welcome to this video. My name is Laura from Misleading Healer at misleadinghealer.com, and welcome to a New Age review. So today we're going to be reviewing a person who I am personally a little bit excited about, at least, and she's been on the list for a while, probably since last summer or so, not sure. But yeah, her name is Quantum Truths, JCK. So, JCK right here. I'm not really sure if that's an artist name. It kind of seems like an artist name to me. At one point, I remember I was able to pull up a bit more of her story and history too. So I think I even pulled up her real name or something that was all over the internet. Of course, nowadays, 3 years later, everyone turns so mysterious. It's almost impossible to find anything on these people, including her. And what's also interesting to notice, so this person basically came out of nowhere. And the reason I know this is because it was during the pandemic, during 2020, around September 2020, she was pushed in the YouTube algorithm. So she basically came out of nowhere, had 0 subscribers, 2,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, and then 20,000 subscribers. And at one point, even more than that, obviously, because now she's already at 96,000 subs. But basically, over a very short span of just a few weeks and months, she was able to rack up a whole bunch of subscribers. And that was September 2020 and on, to such a degree where I was like, what's going on here? Why is this person being pushed all of a sudden? And then I started doing a bit more research on her and the background that I found. So let's just go to her about page right here. Um, Basically, the way she's portraying herself on her YouTube channel, JCK burst onto the social media scene and into the public's awareness in a few short weeks. That's very true. With a mission to speak her truth in a world that was being silenced. That is not true because she's obviously controlled. JC is a psychic medium, artist, spiritual warrior, truth seeker, and cosmic traveler. Now, what's kind of missing here is she's also an actress. And by actress, I mean an actual actress. What I found when I was doing research on her back in September 2020, which has mysteriously vanished all over the interwebs, that she actually had an acting profile and she was an actress living in the Blue Mountains in Australia, which, as you guys know or may not know at this point, I actually lived in Australia for like 6 short months back in 2019. And I used to go to the exact same spot that she's from. So I used to hike around because I was living in Sydney, which is New South Wales. I used to hike around the Blue Mountains all the time. I was in Wentworth Falls, which I think that's where she is, if I'm not mistaken. It's a pretty small place, by the way. Pretty cold in the winter too. That's what I remember. There was never proper heating, at least not where I was staying. And it was a bit chilly, I'm not going to lie. It's just overall Australia has really strange heating going on. But nothing to complain about because the scenery is amazing. The hiking over there was amazing. There's like waterfalls and stuff. The area is known for just a lot of magical landscape and scenery. So when I came across her profile online and it said she was from that area in Australia, I kind of got flashbacks to, I came across her in 2020 and in 2019. I myself had been in Australia. I had flashbacks to a year before that and my time there and all of the things. And now you can't find a single bit on any of that. So she was a registered actor or actress, and I forgot exactly what she was acting in, if it was like theater or film, but there was a profile online that actually had all of the information on it. I'm not really sure about the Australia. Australia is a very small country. It has like 20 million people. It's not like the US or other parts in the world. So I'm not sure how famous you really become as an Australian actress, but just the fact that she has that background was very telling to me because when you already have an acting background, I worked with a lot of actors here in New York City. I myself have never been an actor, but just the people that I've dealt with is a certain personality that goes with it. And it's just, let's put it that way. Your job is basically to portray something that either the director of the movie or play or whatever wants you to portray. That's basically the job of an actor, right? Like you're basically paid for lying to the audience, to being someone you're not. As cruel as it sounds, that's basically what actors do. Some are better than others, whatever. Anyhow, so she's forgetting that she was an actress, okay? In a seemingly innocent series of events, JC created a Facebook group and a YouTube channel with the simple intent to document her astral journeys that she was experiencing during her meditation practice. And this catapulted JC into the public eye after she felt an intense soul urge to share her visions, spiritual truths, hidden worlds beneath Australia, Uluru, and the Vatican, and her very raw conversations in order to awaken the masses. Wow, it just sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? And here's the kicker. If you would like to support JC's work, please send donations too. Or join my Patreon. Throw money at me, please. I'm doing a good job when acting, is everything that I read into this. You know, I'm really not saying this to be mean or facetious, but you can read a lot out of the way they portray themselves here. Let's put it that way. And I find it very interesting that she left out the fact that she's actually an actress. She was probably a paid actress at one point in her life, and people should know, her followers should know at least, right? And I'm not talking about a random being an actor in a school play. Like, she had a proper profile and everything online, you know. I mean, otherwise I can understand why you kind of leave that out on your resume, but it's important because it kind of defines everything, in my opinion. And there are a lot of other things too. You know, every time I hear Australians talk about Uluru, I always wonder if they've actually been there, because from my understandings, not a lot of Australians actually go there. But I myself actually would love to go to Uluru. It's supposed to be a beautiful, beautiful place, but I'm not really sure she ever made it there. So it's just hard for me to understand why people always think they know better when they've never really been to those places, in my opinion. And I find the same, you know, like with the archaics deception, like he always talks about, oh, in this place and that place, but he was stuck in prison for like 30 plus years. Like, how would he know what it feels like in, you know, the Middle East or other countries when he's never actually been there? So it's a similar energy. You know, people like to talk about these places and never go. It's just kind of, it's just the sense of fakeness and not being real. So there's no website anymore. I kind of feel when I had first looked her up, there was maybe a website created by her or a website having more information on her. So I'm not sure what happened with that. Nowadays, you're being rerouted to this newsletter subscription. So basically, she's saying she already had one Facebook group deleted. That might be true, because when I first looked her up, she actually did have a Facebook group 3 years ago, so it could have been removed. And then she's claiming here, YouTube's removing my subscribers and video notifications. I'm not sure about that, because it seems you have way more subs than you did 3 years ago, so I think you're still good to go. But it's the same with everyone. Like, what was her name? Megan Rose also claimed she was censored, and then she's obviously not censored. So these people like to play victim mentality or the victim role, these perfect actors from Australia. So I will only email you stuff which I think is important, includes new readings, videos, information. Email is the safest way to ensure I can keep in touch with you. So yeah, you can sign up to our newsletter if you're interested in more lies. Now there's a Telegram group, and I do have to say, I actually joined this group briefly, and the energy was so off, like similar to the magenta pixie, magenta non-pixie Telegram group is what I would rather say. Her group is really off. There's something off about it. First of all, there are a lot of scammers in the chat, and I know that's not necessarily the fault of the person who has the group. I realize that, but it always makes me wonder, because Project Camelot has the same issue and everything. It makes me wonder why there are so many, like, why they even allow so many scammers. You know, it doesn't, it makes you wonder, something fishy about that. And then I forgot what else was off in her group. I have to actually log on to Telegram and see what was off, but the energy just felt really, yeah, I remember looking at her group and my energy just, for the lack of a better word, I'm going to use the word vibration in this case, even though it's a new cage term. My vibration was lowered by literally just looking at her group. It kind of felt like there were probably entities trying to drain my energy, and also of other people in that group, and just really trying to get to you. And I've gotten the same with Jordan Sather, who's a truther. I've gotten the same with quite a few people, actually. So I can't be part of a lot of these groups for obvious reasons. And if I do, I usually just put them on mute right away, because there's so much back and forth and so many irrelevant posts that really don't even matter, really. But with her specifically, the energy felt really off. Like, really, that's just like a psychic insight for you guys. And now, of course, you can support her on Patreon. So and so many people already are. And she posts more content. She posts this and that. So they all have a Patreon. They're all kind of like begging for their donations in that sense. But yeah, I think without further ado, I had to look a little while for a video to review, because it wasn't easy. Hold up. Oh yeah, here's another site kind of mentioning her, but it basically just has the same as her about page. She's a truth seeker, cosmic traveler. Like, not an actress though, never says an actress, JCK, what's up with that? So here's a weird video where she's having her sunglasses on. Luckily, she's not having that in every video. Otherwise, I would get suspicious about that. There's this other person. It's a blonde lady in her, I don't know, 50s or 60s, who always has the sunglasses and hat on. Forgot what her name is. That's like the most suspicious thing to have, right? Like, you're doing a YouTube video, there's no sun around, and you're basically having sunglasses on. But I mean, hers might just be funky style or whatever. I don't know. Fashion in Australia, I do have to say, from a short time over there, the fashion always left me a bit baffled. It was a bit of a mix of people trying to imitate New York and LA and never really quite getting there. But some people are lovely. I don't know about her. I don't know her personally, luckily. But I mean, Australians are lovely, don't get me wrong. It's just a different culture. It's just, I thought it was so amusing that she actually lives in the Blue Mountains when I had been there. And I'm like, wow, look at this random person, because there aren't that many people that live there. For anyone who's around there, it's quite, I mean, I don't know about nowadays. Like, this is before 2020, before everything changed. I know the real estate market changed in Sydney too, but before that time, I stayed at this one person's Airbnb, and he was originally from Melbourne, but he was so lovely. It was this really cool guy. He was probably 50 or 60 years old. He was gay. And he had kind of fled from Melbourne and Sydney to the Blue Mountains. And like, just the stories he told me about the people that live there, it just made me and the other Airbnb guests like really laugh, because it was just so outlandish and backwards. And I don't know, but that's just Australia in a nutshell. So nothing against Australia. Once again, we're just reviewing her because she's Australian. Now, when doing a video, it's very hard for me to choose a video. So there's a video right here, which is basically an audio, so you don't see her face. And then the others are interviews, which I'm not really interested in reviewing, because you're mixing other people's energies. There's an interview with this guy, Kyle Cease, might be worth reviewing too. I think he's American. I'm not sure. He could be Canadian. And then, okay, with her, it's so funny that everything kind of went dark the moment I wanted to review her. Just another thing I want to point out, all the screens here are dark all of a sudden. So with her, this is one where you can actually see her face. We might start with this one, but it's from 4 months ago, so I think it's from December. But yeah, okay, let's just start with this one. We're already like 15 minutes in.
How are you all doing? I thought I'd record a quick little video.
Yeah, I always remember, like, back in 2020, she already had like a lot of makeup in her face. Like, nothing against it, obviously. Everyone can do their own thing. But she already had like these elaborate lipsticks and eye makeup and all of that. And I'm like, well, you're running around like that in the Blue Mountains? That's so random, because people don't really run around. Like, when I wore makeup hiking, people would look at me quite strangely.
Been out of touch for a while, haven't I? I've changed a bit. Still me. I'm not a clone.
Okay, now we have to become suspicious. Whenever a person says they're not a clone, they might very well be a clone, right? Especially people who follow my channel know.
So yeah, still me, just no black hair, as you can see. And I just wanted to hope and wish
No idea what the black hair comment is if she had black hair.
you.
But I do want to say, okay, so people always get pissed off when I point out the obvious to me with the makeup. The eyebrows are always, when I see people make their eyebrows, I will never understand. To me, it's like the symmetry of a face. I mean, I don't know. There's something to it when they say, like, clones have the symmetrical features. I'm not saying she is a clone, but they're trying to, and they try to do it with makeup just to make themselves very symmetrical. I noticed that with other channelers too, by the way. I actually think the makeup works for her. But I think it's definitely a bit over the top, but it just could be like a personal preference, obviously.
Um, a very good December. It seems that the energies are flattening a lot of us, and I don't think it's the normal Christmas rush. I actually think there's something going on.
It's always the same with the energies. It's like, if it's not the 1111 portal or the Lionsgate portal or whatever portal's going on, there's some solar flash that's going to flatten your energies. Something. You're never like in a normal energetic cycle. There's always like some planet, some retrograde, some this and that that's flat. I mean, it's just the typical new age garbage. Also, what I forgot to mention in some of her previous videos, when I checked in 3 years ago, I noticed that her teeth look like a vampire sometimes. And I found that interesting because that's not the case with every person. So you have like the pointed teeth in the corners.
That's really heavy, and something's afoot. And I think a lot of us are really feeling it. There are some of us who feel it more than others. And I myself, personally, I don't
I don't know. I mean, it kind of sounds like a typical Elizabeth April video. Oh, I feel bad. Do you guys also feel bad? And then you get like a million replies on her Instagram. Yes, I also feel bad. So you're kind of validating that you all feel bad, even though it's just your personal circumstance, it has nothing to do with any type of energy going on.
think it's just the energy. I think I'm just burnt out. So,
Okay,
um,
finally, a realization.
um, I did put a video out a few weeks ago for my patrons that explained what was going on.
But you have to pay for it.
And for myself, just as each day goes past, I start to see more and more just how absolutely burnt out I am. And, this is over 2 years of me working nonstop.
Being an actress on my YouTube channel where I earn my money from and my Patreon is basically what she wants to say.
For everybody. And my brain is just mush. And I just realized just how much I've given and given and given and given and given to people. And I just feel like I have to recalibrate. And just before I put out
I'm confused. Is this like a ranting video? Maybe we should switch to the other video. I'm just going to see where it goes.
one of Gordon's videos, Gordon Smith's video, and it was exactly what's been going through my head for the last few weeks, trying to understand what the past 2 years were about. And I've started to realize just how how so much was promised and so much was.
Oh, this is the kicker. So this woman actually predicted the entire DT and everything winning back in 2020, right? So similar to Magenta Pixie and non-Pixie and other people. And the kicker was, so this woman in particular, she kept predicting, and she's like, oh yeah, and this person's gonna win, gonna win, gonna win. The date comes and goes. He didn't win. And then now they're backpedaling. Now they're like, oh, they did technically win, but you won't find out until the spring after, or you won't find out until a year after, or 5 years after, when it doesn't even matter anymore. But basically, when she's like, things that were promised, that's what just came to my mind right now. And I totally forgot about it to mention it beforehand. She was one of the biggest psyops in promoting one candidate over another, and that candidate at the end of the day never winning, similar to all these other channelers who predicted the same outcome, right? And it never came true. And now she's burnt out because she's giving these wrong promises, wrong prophecies, basically. And I don't even know if there was a pushback. Obviously, there wasn't much of a pushback if her subscriber count kind of jumped. But I'm just like, wow, that's crazy that people are still following this person. Because nothing came true.
Speculated on, and I started to consider it. I was like, Jesus, this is like a really weird cult kind of mentality.
Yeah, but you're part of that. You're promoting that, JCK. Like, you're part of the new cage.
And I started thinking
or a truther or whatever it is that you consider yourself.
Re-examining
acting worlds, Australia's actress.
A lot of the things that I was sort of pulled into and things that I had questioned, and it just keeps going back to the same thing, which is going within. And even right now for myself, the only thing that's helping me is to focus on the now and to recalculate.
Because you can't be wrong in the now. When you just do random prophecies in the future, they don't come true. Just go back to the now. Eckhart Tolle says the same, doesn't he?
Celebrate and reassess and focus on very simple, mundane, everyday tasks.
Is this, I don't know. I'm going to switch over to a new video in a few minutes because I'm not getting much out of this one. But just the way, just become a complacent robot, focus on your mundane tasks, don't question anything. That's kind of what I'm getting, the vibe that I'm getting. I'm not saying that's what she's saying, but it's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting.
Rather than speculate about what's coming next.
Right, because your predictions were never true, by the way.
If you were to shut yourself off from the world for a few weeks and just go quiet and focus on your family and your loved ones, would you know about the political situations and the speculations of doom and gloom out there? I was thinking about this.
Yeah, but none of those have really changed over the past 10, 20 years. So you're not really giving us new stuff. And I'm also always so surprised how someone who lives in a very remote area in Australia is basically burnt out like that, because there's really not much going on in Wentworth Falls.
The other day about, all of these people telling me.
I think they have like a few stores. From what I remember, they had either a few stores there or in the town over, but it was a very rural area.
That there's food shortages are coming, and that there's going to be a stock market crash, and there's going to be this epic thing that's going to come. And I kept thinking, they always say this. They keep saying this. They keep saying that there's going to be.
So she's probably listening to Magenta Non-Pixie or these other frauds.
Another thing coming, or this new financial system's coming, or it's always the same promise. And just like Gordon Smith said in his last video, it's very much like the Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean,
She's having like this person right now is having like an awakening from the false awakening she's promoting. This is fascinating. Like, the psyops run even deeper and deeper than I thought they were.
Unfortunately exposed to that religion from a young age. I have a lot of friends and family who are still in it or were part of it, and it was always
in Australia.
It's the same. Promises, 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 doom and gloom.
See, this is why religion and the New Age are the exact same thing. Like, Jehovah's Witness is a form of religion. They all promise the same, and nothing comes true.
And nothing ever came of any of it. I remember back in the early 80s, they were saying Armageddon was coming. Now that's 40.
Oh yeah, what happened with that?
Years ago nearly, right? And it was the same back then. It was like, it's coming. It's coming.
All right. I don't know what train she's on, but there's actually a video where she talks to a tree. So we're going to go to that video because I thought that one was hilarious.
Hello, everyone. This is JCK from Quantum Truths JCK. If you're not already subscribed, I do hope that you click the notification bell and the subscription to my channel. I record a lot of different shows.
It's always the same. Loop them into the subscription, loop them into the donations. So I'm kind of looking for how to forward this faster. Still looking for it, but basically the title here is Nibiru, Planet X, and the Tree Whisperer. That should give you an idea of what it is.
All the time, and all the links are in the description below. But in the meantime, this is an incredible recording, a transcription of a message I received today when I was out in nature in a really special spot up here in the Upper Blue Mountains.
Upper Blue Mountains, that's what I thought. Okay, I'm gonna put this on like 1.5.
And I was busy actually transcribing another recording of a message from my tree Brenda.
Okay, the way she said it, her tree Brenda, so she's talking to trees now. And so this one's from only like a month ago.
And as I sat here amongst these other beautiful eucalyptus trees out in nature in the Upper Blue Mountains, I meditated for a moment and sort of asked the trees if they could connect with my tree, and knowing that they are the receivers, the antenna and the receivers of all universal knowledge and wisdom of creation, that they could perhaps give me some information that is more universal in regards to an aspect or a incredible phenomena that a lot of people speculate is Planet X or Nibiru. Now,
so she's asking her tree to get dubious, doubtful ET alien information. You just got to let that sink in, honestly.
I myself, I have been awake for, wow, almost 30 years.
Well, she's also been an actress. She keeps forgetting that.
Since the 90s.
Maybe she was a voice actress too.
Then I've investigated so many different things. I've been down so many different rabbit holes. But the Nibiru situation, I've never really spent a lot of time delving into. I'm familiar with it, but I am not married to any particular idea about it. And the interesting thing is that in my last recording, my last message that I received from my own tree about the state of the world and about calamities and destruction and these ideas of these end times, I got the sense that there was more to the message that my tree, that if I'd just gone back to her the next day, that she would have given me another message.
Okay, so let this sink in. We're 3 minutes in. I've gotten nothing out of this message. Have you guys gotten anything out from this message? Like, it's always my tree, my tree, my tree, but we're not getting the actual message.
Message about this idea of Nibiru coming into our orbit or our atmosphere, coming closer to the Earth. So
it's really unfortunate you can't see her facial structures, like her facial, what her face actually says with her words. But even just listening to her words, like with the body language, just listening to her words is even so painful to me, at least. I don't know about you guys.
So to speak, and what that would entail. I got that sense. Now, the interesting thing is that when I transcribed that original message, I did not realize that Laura Whitworth had recorded a video called Watch the Water. I shared the video. But
it might be another one to review. Let's see where this goes.
I didn't watch it. I just knew that whatever the message was that she had would be important. And it's interesting because she mentioned Nibiru in that message. And
anything that involves Nibiru is probably just another psyop.
Found that out after I'd already transcribed everything and recorded the message from my tree. So
her tree, Brenda. Is that the name, Brenda? I forgot.
So today I was out in nature, and
that's really what I remember that because I took a lot of pictures like that. That's like the Blue Mountains. Which, by the way, the Blue Mountains look similar to upstate New York. So all these areas in the world, they always look similar. You know, like Namibia looks similar to certain areas in the US as well.
Finishing off this transcription of the last message from my tree, and I could feel that feeling that it's hard to describe. Now, if you are a person who is connected to spirit or who is a medium or who is a channeler or who connects.
This is crazy. So basically they're saying you're not connected to spirit unless you're like a medium or channeler. I mean, it's just the mind washing is intense.
With the consciousness of other living beings, you get that feeling over you, like there's a connect.
Yeah, but wouldn't we all be connected to source? I mean, come on, don't be ridiculous here. Don't be superior. Spiritual superiority is a real one.
Being made and a message is about to come through. And it's just a knowing that, yes, okay, now is the time. And I was in a really beautiful, relaxed state. And as I was open to receive this message, just as I was about to, I wrote the date at the top of the page, connected into this beautiful tree that I always speak to, this tree that I call Melaleuca. That's the name I received when I first connected with that tree.
Wait, I thought it was Brenda. Didn't she say Brenda in the beginning? I'm going to rewind this video, but I think she said Brenda. So she's basically just switching out the name.
Over a year ago.
Oh, it's a different tree. So this is a tree whisperer, supposedly. And because you are not, you watching, because you are not a medium, a channeler, whatever, you will never have that connection, is basically the message I'm picking up on.
All the birds, the native birds, just began to flock around me. It was pretty incredible. And the minute I finished transcribing this message, they flew away. I had kookaburras, lorikeets, rosellas, I had magpies, I had honey eaters, I had a lyrebird in the distance, I had a bellbird. It was just incredible. They all flocked around me at the top.
I used to see a lot of parrots when I was in Australia. I wonder if she saw any parrots.
Time that I was receiving this incredible message. And so I present to you this message.
I also used to see these garbage birds. Like the natives hated them because they would literally dig through the garbage, but they kind of look like a stork. She's not talking about any of those birds. Like those are the real birds that I saw.
Which you will note is in a very different tone than the way Brenda, my own tree, speaks.
Okay, so she's talking about two different trees. You see how this is confusing though, right? Like it's really there to just confuse your mind so that you don't even question it anymore.
And yet this beautiful cluster of trees in the bush of the Upper Blue Mountains, they still speak in a plural form. They call themselves we. So please listen with an open mind. I have no preconceived notion about Nibiru. I was open to whatever, and I did not expect the response that I got from these beautiful trees. I will timestamp this so that if you do wish to go back and just listen to the channeled message, I will put a timestamp so it'll be easy for you to skip this.
This is a lot of talking. Let's get to the channeled message.
And listen to this beautiful channeled message from the trees. Please remember the links are in the description below for every way to contact me.
This is so much advertising.
But also to go to the playlist for messages from the trees.
And support my Patreon and donate to me.
So here goes.
My acting career is suffering.
Thursday, 9th of March, 2023. Message from the trees.
It's like, I mean, you think about being in an asylum, like people used to be in an asylum because of these messages, right? Like 100 years ago. Like you just think about it, just the evolution of humankind.
There are two realities, one containing chaos and destruction, madness and calamity, and the other with peace and progress and expansion of broader consciousness and ways for improvement. Decide which pole you wish to belong to. In your physical reality, there is a portal or vortex that pulls into it via magnetism, energies that attract to its likeness. Planetary figures move across your sky, an expanse of an area like a void.
Yeah, I personally think those planets are all fake, by the way. But it's interesting how typical New Age truther Manir, she kind of says, oh, you can choose. As if you really could choose from 2020 on what happened, all the lockdowns, everything, right? Like these people are so living, like I feel they're almost living an alternate reality somehow.
Each of these energies.
Like, you know, Australia had the worst lockdown too, so I'm even surprised this is coming from her. But what I'm feeling, honestly, from this video, I'm feeling my energy getting a bit drained. So you just got to be aware of that too, because energetically, I feel drained when watching this video.
These, or frequencies, have been illuminated and interact with all living beings in your realm. Pure energy and consciousness resides in all things created by your creator. Unlocking the secrets, or the
But aren't you like a creator yourself? I mean, failed to mention that.
Essence of the frequencies of these conscious formations requires much study.
It's kind of, is honestly like a very slow version of a magenta pixie somehow, just with an Australian accent.
Ancient connection by the soul. As each individual removes layers of their false self, they become more awakened
or enlightened by their natural state of being.
Or once they stop listening to JCK.
And so they can easily read the signs and messages of the natural world around them. As the individual imbues their natural observed world with their own life force energy, their spark of life, the natural world in turn responds to the central nervous system of the individual, allowing the being to receive the transmission of the message from all of life. The secrets to all existence is held in such codes and frequencies, naturally and perpetually emitted from all creation. Depending on the individual's state of awareness, their ability to receive and interpret such a transmission, and their inner state of peace or receptivity, the message is received using the individual's own language and vernacular. So is the case.
So I put it onto twice as much speed, twice as much fast forward. So basically she's saying you have to be in a certain state to even receive these messages. So it's a typical disempowerment, right? Oh, you need to listen to channels like me because we already reached that state, but you're never going to be there, all of that.
In communicating telepathically with all sentient life forms. We wish to discuss with you Nibiru, this so-called planet that almost
now, I don't understand why a random tree in the upper Blue Mountains, Australia, wants to discuss Nibiru. It makes no sense.
Must be seen and felt, not only as a physical object in your observed sky.
Oh, so the planet has to be seen and felt.
But as an influence.
It's kind of like, like talking people into being crazy, right?
Energy upon all who reside in your realm currently. The transference of such energies from the beings who simultaneously inhabit Nibiru, as well as hold a consciousness in some of the human individuals in your earthly realm, could be seen as original creator beings, or gods, in your historical view. Mount Olympus, or the land of the gods, holding many well-known deities, such as Marduk, Enlil, Enki, and indeed those gods of the pantheon known to...
I mean, there's nothing new here. This is the same Barbara Machinik regurgitates. This is the same what Ashiana Dean's Voyageur. I mean, there's nothing new, right? Like so far, I haven't heard a single new piece other than my tree Brenda and my tree something with M. I forgot the other tree name.
The ancient Greeks are the pinnacle forms of life who serve to not only seed your realm, but also care for its inhabitants. As the energy and influence of Nibiru comes closer to your physical realm, those who hold the energies and consciousness of such deities start to awaken to their own earthly roles to help guide humanity. Some may even remember their life as such a deity, and although this can feel shocking and so far removed from the earthly
so you're a god.
Existence in multiplicity.
You're one of those ancient Greek gods. You can't just be someone who, I don't know, just like a peasant or whatever, but no, you're a god.
As in a simultaneous or multifaceted form of existence is possible.
One of those people who was like cleaning the feet of these gods. You're not that, you're a god or goddess.
As these individuals draw more and more light into themselves from the pervading influence of the solar activity in your current atmosphere, and as this light awakens within these individuals memories and awarenesses of their true earthly purpose.
Yeah, but you don't need a portal for... See, this is the danger. So people believe this, and then there's a portal they need, and then in this portal, they drag them through this portal psyop, and then people start, connecting to it and all of that, and then all the entities come through. That's a portal is letting things through for people who didn't get that memo.
The manifestation of Nibiru,
meaning a whole bunch of astral entities.
Galactic atmosphere begins to be observed. This process of dormancy and awakening and ascension of awareness occurs in cycles. And while the appearance of this planetary influence may feel as though it were only a physical satellite orbiting or influencing your Earth, it is in fact much more dynamically linked and magnetically drawn to the consciousness and frequency on the souls incarnated presently in your experience. The shift you are all feeling, whether consciously or unconsciously, begins as a domino effect, first within these individuals who hold the energies of these deities, that then ripple out to all those who are connected to them, like an expanded exponential growth of influence. The same.
I can't believe people are, like, once again, I'm baffled that people are out there believing this.
Nothing can stop what is coming is part of the premonition of this major influence to the development of mankind. This seasonal influence of Nibiru may have been documented in past phases of human evolution, but this may be the first time it is truly acknowledged as having a multidimensional impact on all...
Of course, because we're in the fake age of Aquarius, which doesn't even exist.
The residents. The force or the pull of the planet has an inspired and transformative effect on all life forms. and ushers in a holographic change upon the dimension, shifting the way existence is experienced and the ability to manifest more experiences. While many will attempt to view the celestial experience merely for its meteorological effect.
But nothing about being trapped here or being forced to come to Earth or tricked to come here. None of that. No, you volunteered and then you turned into a god, or you're somehow connected to that Greek god. Yeah, for sure. That's not what happened.
On planetary bodies and seasons and natural disasters on the surface of the Earth. All of this will herald a change and a reset.
Yeah, what about the lockdown?
Of great magnitude. Fear not, for all such changes are necessary, and do not herald the end of days or the end of life, but really a transformation and ascension of the planet Earth.
Ascension of the Earth. Okay, so that was the end of that video. Seems like it. Okay, pretty lame. So the first video, she was complaining about being misled by other truthers or psyops. Wow. Mind blow. Like, why are people following this person is my question. How many views is this person getting? All right, 11,000. It's not a whole lot for her channel here. I mean, I'm relieved not that many people are watching it, but she has a lot of interaction in her Telegram group, which is a bit concerning because there's just random stuff like people asking for her permission before they post. And it's kind of like what I found with her Telegram group, and I hate to say it, it was basically like a cult leader leading a bunch of sheep somehow. That's the best metaphor I kind of have for that, or the best image I can come up with. But you know, I'm so confused. Like, this person obviously doesn't know much because she's questioning her own reality and why she feels so bad. Why are people following her? She's talking about Nibiru concepts that other people before her have talked about multiple times already. There's nothing new. She randomly interviews other people, like this person here. And she barely talks in that video too, at least so far what I've gathered. So I'm outright confused once again. But you know what I found? When people are in a cult mentality, they will justify every step that they're in it. So it must be a case of that, kind of like the Stockholm syndrome too. So anyhow, that was a review of her material. I think it was a bit boring what she has to offer. Comment below if you want more people reviewed. So we're just doing like the big ones for sure. We're also doing smaller channels. And I think this kind of highlights exactly why there's really not much there, honestly. We're being misled by actors and actresses, some of them in Australia, some of them in Hollywood. And what are they really controlled by, right? So if you do not want to be misled, if you want to take your power back, go to my website, misleadinghealer.com, subscribe to my channel, comment below if you want more reviews. And I offer courses, session, everything, but you don't have to take anything. You can literally just enjoy the free stuff as well. No donations required, no Patreon, no nothing. All right, guys, have a wonderful day and talk to you very soon. Bye.